Alright, I'm losing my mind over Wonka. This is one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life. Timothy Chalamet, Wonka, is horrible and he needs to be banned from film screens. But before we get into why, first, I highly recommend Jack Saint's video analyzing the capitalist undertones and analysis of Wonka. I think he does a really great job of explaining what the character of Willy Wonka represents in society. This happy, generous capitalist that wants to help the world by getting them addicted to chocolate that he sells for very cheap, and of course you can only get from him while employing a colonized people. But let's not get into that. For some background, as a kid I loved Roald Dahl's books. I loved the BFG, James and the Giant Peach, the BFG. I grew up watching Johnny Depp's Willy Wonka film and I really enjoyed how weird the character felt, how disconnected from humanity he felt. That was really interesting to me. So when I heard they were making a film about the origins of Willy Wonka, I quickly dismissed it as a stupid idea. Now let me get one thing straight. You were lied to. This is not a film about the origins of Willy Wonka. This is a film about the origins of the Wonka Candy Company. The character of Willy Wonka, played by Timothy Chalamet, is both somehow not at all like the character in the two other movies, yet he's also not his own thing. He's just kind of there. But anyways, let's start talking about the actual movie. I really don't want to talk about the plot of Wonka. I know you can't see me, but I'm doing big air quotes right now. This review will contain spoilers, but I think if you try to imagine the plot of the Wonka movie, you would come up with something far more imaginative and fun than this. Willy Wonka wants to sell chocolate to people. Bad guys who have a choco monopoly do not want him to sell chocolate. Here's the plot. Willy Wonka and this girl named Noodle are kept in a workhouse by an evil landlady and her husband, who is the best character to work for them. Of course, it turns out great for our heroes because the cops come and arrest the bad guys. Yippee! And that's the plot of Wonka. You're welcome. That stuff that works in this film then doesn't work, so I guess I can start there. Bleacher is the greatest character put to film. Just look at this man's shorts. I was whistling every time they did a close-up on his legs, which thankfully was many, many times in this children's movie. Patterson Joseph, playing Arthur Slugworth, is clearly having a lot of fun with this role.
Marshmallow.
I think him and Bleacher are the only ones having fun in this whole movie. They just steal the show anytime they're on screen and really just give it their all, unlike some actors. There's a gag where this guy gets sick every time they mention poor people. That was really funny. The use of the church as the secret base that the chocolate cartel uses to store their chocolate filled with corrupt priests and a ninja nun was pretty great. And spoilers from the end, when the police are trying to break into the sweatshop that Willy was working at and arrest the landlords, I actually thought they were drinking poison to escape police capture, but no, they just turned into fuzzy monsters. End scene. So that was 5 things. I enjoyed 5 things in this movie. Did not work in this film. Acting. The acting in this movie sucks, and actually no, it's really boring and I can barely call it acting. I didn't believe any of these characters were actual beings in this universe, especially Wonka himself. He sticks out like a sore thumb. Even when great or horrible things happen to the character, Timothy barely emotes. I never felt any emotion from him, and it seems like half the time he didn't know he was being recorded. I mean, just look at these eyes. Is there any emotion there? I think Jabba the Hutt has more emotion in his eyes than Wonka here does. The little girl character Noodle just looks really bored and uncomfortable the whole time, even though her acting is probably some of the best in this movie. Watching her and this adult man walk around town holding hands and getting really uncomfortably close to each other's faces just makes me really uncomfortable. Even the cops take note of it in the movie, and if I saw this man anywhere near a child, I'd be hitting the gas pedal before you can dial the FBI. Next, the singing. I hate Timothy Chalamet. I don't like his face. I think he's great at playing a douchey pretty boy character, because that's barely a role for him. So initially, I never wanted to see this film in my life. However, when I did go with friends, I wanted to at least see how long it took before Timothy got on my nerves. It took about 3 seconds, because this movie opens with Timothy Chalamet singing, and this film is filled with Timothy Chalamet singing. Songs in this film don't work, they just start and end without warning. And I swear I think the most prominent song, Scrub Scrub, wasn't finished before they started singing it. I'm no music critic, but as a casual Marvel movie enjoyer, even I thought the songs were really bad. The singing is terrible too, especially by our little Timmy. They don't sound like he put much effort, he doesn't project, and I swear you can't predict when songs will start or stop. Next, the plot. As I mentioned, this film barely has a plot, but there's a lot that was wrong with it. I'm not gonna dissect it But just like Jack Saint predicted, they don't ever question anything about the Wonka character instead of having these mustache twirling villains. The villains in this movie are barely villains. I mean, they are the bad guys, and this is a children's movie, but there's no hiding that they're bad guys, which, I think is better than having these guys have some dramatic twist reveal that everyone would see a mile away. But they are the most boring, bland, evil characters you can think of. Their only goal is to keep their monopoly on the chocolate market and not allow anyone else to intrude on that market. Willy Wonka, the title of this, well, I don't really want to call it a movie, has no character development. He doesn't learn anything, there's no lesson to be learned in this film. He's just this optimistic, naive businessman from start to finish. I guess he learns to read from the little girl. A good movie would have brought this back as a plot point, maybe a physical and emotional representation of Wonka's growth or descent into the character he eventually becomes. But there's no hint of the old Willy Wonka in this guy. If anything, this film is an origin of the Wonka company and the factory. But even that's really a stretch because they just kind of happen. One of the few traits that they gave Wonka that I thought might be carried on through this film, silly me, was when Wonka stops Noodle from stealing a bottle of milk to make more chocolate. He says that stealing is bad. Alright, that's a very basic and simple moral lesson, but you got something there. So the solution to getting the milk that they need without stealing is to drug a man by appealing to his emotions and about his past regrets in life, breaking into the zoo, breaking into the giraffe enclosure, and milking the giraffe. They do ask for consent from the giraffe, but I'm pretty sure they were just trying to distract it while Willy got that sweet milk. When Willy has successfully stolen this child and brought her into the zoo for his hostage holdout, they escape with... Wait, what was that? He steals balloons. Timmy, you lying thief. He steals balloons, something SpongeBob and Patrick went to the electric chair for to escape the zoo. And at the climax of the film with the whole wacky action scene, they once again drug the zoo guard and steal the giraffe to cause a ruckus to distract the corrupt priests. Maybe this is the best film ever made. But once again, old Willy goes back on his stealing rule. He goes back on it more than Batfleck's no killing. The only thing Willy has going for him is this mom plotline, where him and his mother grew up poor and he promised her one day to sell chocolate in the whole world. I don't know. But that's dropped in the third act, doesn't come back until Willy feeds these people this 20-year-old chocolate piece from his mom. But maybe he's trying to get rid of anyone who can expose him as a fraud as quickly as possible. That would have been an amazing ending. I'm trying not to talk about too many of the same things that Jack Saint talked about because he has great videos on the subject and is way better than me. But I do think that they could have touched upon it, even looked at the ethics of Wonka's chocolate empire. But no, the film is not about taking down this corrupt chocolate empire. It is about replacing it with Timothée Chalamet. Oh my god, I called the twist as soon as Noodle appeared in this movie. Interestingly, one of the two major black characters in this movie, she has to be the daughter and the
rightful heir to the chocolate empire or something.
But she's also best friends with Willy Wonka, who will eventually be her business competitor, I guess. But the plotline with her having a mysterious ring on a necklace from her family was the most predictable thing ever, and I called it in the theater, as soon as that scene happened. I forgot this in my notes, but Noodle exclusively refers to this adult white man she's hanging out with as Willy, and it made me very, very uncomfortable. Next is the music. As I mentioned, the songs suck. However, there is one good song, and it was good 53 years ago when it was originally made, and I'm of course talking about the Oompa Loompa song. That one is pretty decent.
Pa-lumpa, dumpa-diddy, I'm not in premium economy. Good night, sir. I am going flat.
The world of this movie is really boring, which it shouldn't be when it's 1800s London without all the racism, poverty, misogyny. The world doesn't seem lived in, it's a bunch of sets. There's barely any Oompa Loompa action in this film, which, is probably the right call considering they are colonized people living for simple scrap, working for the whitest Wonka yet.
Shriek. Let me out!
Not until I take a good look at you.
But the trailers made it seem like they were going to be there from the beginning. They show up once in the middle of the film and are right at the end to save the day by taking back the rightful chocolate from the bad guys, who I want to mention stole it from Willy since he's the one who first stole their resources from their land. The bad guys obviously need some kind of contrived reason for them to get caught. They're all rich white men, so of course they won't get caught. But they write all their illegal activities, including bribing the police, in a big book that they carry with them for the good police to find and immediately arrest them at the end. I don't even really think Willy Wonka helped bring this information to light. It just kind of happens. I really can't help but wonder what would have happened if one of the corrupt officers had found this book. Oh, that would have been a really interesting action scene. But of course, we can't acknowledge any of that mess in this film about capitalism, colonization, indentured servitude, monopolies on food. Themes. The theme of this movie is trying to be friends and sharing your chocolate, which is fine, I guess, but it's the most basic, boring theme that anyone can possibly imagine. And this is actively undermined by the fact that we know this character grows up to not have friends, not share secrets, and not share his chocolate, but sell it to people. So, this is one of my least favorite movies. I value uniqueness and creativity and effort a lot in films. Even if it doesn't always work out, I'd rather have a bad movie that tried to do something than a boring movie that didn't. Oh, what's this picture of Guardians 3 doing here? But Wonka does not try. It doesn't say anything, doesn't do anything. It contradicts itself and its characters, and it actively took years off my lifespan. So my rating is 1 star. I can't decide if it's a 1 or 2 star. I really hate to give it like 4 stars out of 10, so I guess 2. But I guess 2 out of 5 would be equivalent to that. But I'm honestly not sure. I can't decide between 1 or 2. I need to figure out my rating system more. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I really want to finally put my review somewhere for people to see and hopefully will like. If you liked this movie, no, you didn't. Just kidding. But thank you so much for watching this. Leave any feedback you have in the comments and let me know if you would like to see more. Thank you again so much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Bye.